first time saying that, and that was pretty fun. You should definitely try it if you're yeah. I was gonna say if you're alone, but even if you're not, who cares, right? So I just wanted to share some thoughts I've been having. I'm watching Rupi Kaur on Love and Pain, Suffering and Joy with Lewis House on YouTube. YouTube has been making some very good suggestions lately, so thank you for that. It was recommended to me on YouTube, and I love Rupi so much. I actually just performed my very first spoken word last night, and part of that is because of her. She inspired me, just like Ava DuVernay gave me the direction on my social justice efforts through her movie 13th. Rupi Kaur has helped me rediscover an outlet that is just perfect for my soul and allows me to use my talent and passion for writing and poetry. It's just funny how when you allow God to lead you, sometimes you end up full circle. What I mean by that is when I was younger in elementary school, the last one I believe was 5th grade. I went 3 times. I know I went in 2nd grade for sure, and I think 3rd, and then 5th. Anyway, it was called Speech Meet. And so you know how there's spelling bees where there's speech meeches? Speech meeches? There are speech meets, but that's still kind of hard to say. Say it 3 times fast, I dare you. And basically, a child would either perform a speech, like I have a dream speech, or they would perform like Bible verses, like long passage, like Psalms 34 or something. And you know, I love me some Jesus, so I would always do Bible verses. And then you would perform it in your classes, and then who was ever best from your class, I believe, would perform it for the whole school, like an assembly, so from each grade. And then whoever won that, you would be chosen to honor and represent your school, and you would go to like the next level, so that people from a bunch of schools were coming together, and then you would compete. And I totally forgot that I even did that until I started practicing my spoken word. Shout out to my new friend, Shanae. I have never been to an open mic, and I always wanted to go. It's like on the bucket list. I'm just crossing so many things off my bucket list. Like if you're having an issue where your bucket list has too many things that are uncrossed, you need to move to New York, because New York will make you get ish done. It just does. Okay, I go on a lot of side notes, so get used to me. I'm the tangent queen. I'm very tangential. Okay, back to what I was saying. Shanae. Oh, so shout out to my friend Shanae. Find her on IG. Ew, I'm gonna say IG. Find her on IG. The Sweetest Joy. She makes cakes and pastries, and she's amazing in her artistry and in her person. So you should get to know her either way. So she found an open mic. It's called the Open Mic Cafe in Brooklyn. It happens twice a month. Find them on IG as well. And it was just such a legit vibe. But anyway, so she saw that an open mic was coming up to happen yesterday on the 30th. And she sent me this flyer, or like tagged me on their post a week ago. And I was like, ooh. And I had like sent her a poem that I recorded, a spoken word poem I recorded on my phone, and she really liked it. So then she was like, oh, I can't wait to see you perform your spoken word on stage, like when she sent me the open mic. And I was like, oh yeah. So then Monday, I don't even remember how we were talking about it, but in a group chat, and then I was saying, oh yeah, I can't wait for the open mic or whatever, and she was like, oh yeah, you're performing. And I'm like, this is my first one, I'm just gonna like watch, and then I'll do the next one. She was like, no, you've had a week to prepare. No excuses, just greatness. And I was like, wow, okay. She called me out. All right, I was like, you're right, I'm doing it. So I'm like, okay, Lord, it's Monday. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna read it. Then I'm like, man, I don't need to read, because I'm I'm pretty good at memorizing, and I think a lot of that happened as a side effect of, or a result, not a side effect, a result of being in a Christian school from third grade to my second year in college, because we would have Bible class every single year, and we would have to memorize Bible verses weekly, and we would have tests. And then I was also in, side note, hit tangent, I was in Awana, which is essentially like Girl Scouts, but like for Christians. It's so amazing. We have these red vests, and you would get patches and stuff for like performing your memorized scripture. That sounds so nerdy, I'm just realizing, but whatever. Like, I love Jesus. I like competing and memorizing. I got memorization skills. And I actually laughed because an older white lady was like out to get me all the time, and she was really disrespectful to me, and my mother did not like that. And I think I decided, I was a very strong-willed child, and my mom trusted me, and I think I decided I didn't want to return because of how she had been treating me. Interesting. Okay, that's going to be part of my We Matter letters from a woke woman. It's a series I'm working on where I talk about different microaggressions that now I recognize from my past growing up, because I was in my schooling and extracurricular activities, I was surrounded by a majority of white persons, and I was often singled out in a lot of ways. So I'm exploring that because it's important to really make an effort to note why you are the way you are. Oh, I just realized my glasses and my nails match. Okay. Okay, that's out of control. A tangent within a tangent. It's important to know why you do the things you do now. And so you have to look at the past to see why you think a certain way or whatever. And it's not to blame. It's just to see the origin, because once you have information, then you can act accordingly. You can choose to use it as an excuse and continue your behavior, or you can choose to use that as an epiphany, an aha moment, and say, wow, I don't like that, I'm going to change that because it's ugly. Okay, so now back to everything I was saying. I'm going to get myself lost. Oh yeah, spoken word. So I was like, I love that phrase, no excuses, just greatness. And I'm like, I'm adopting that, because you really just have to do things. And I have struggled with being a controlling person, and that's something I've been working with God. And I don't mean to throw this bomb, but I experienced rape almost 5 years ago. This October, it will be 5 years. And that's what it really took for me to wake up to just being immediately, I'm combining words, immediately obedient to God's calling, to God, what he tells you, and not in any way to say he's responsible for my rape. The ugly things that happen in this world are a result of, living in a world that's full of sin, because the world is broken. But God is there to help get us through those moments. And I'm so thankful for that, because he's a good father, and there's a reason that's one of his titles. So that experience taught me obedience, because God had told me to stay away from this person several times, but I had, going back to my past, something I learned, I had an idea in my mind that I needed to be the savior. I had a savior complex, and so my idea of being a good Christian was to sacrifice myself to lift someone else up. And so I wanted to be there for him and help him, even though God said, go away. Let me do that. I was like, oh no, Jesus, but I'm your tool, I'm your vessel, I'm gonna help for you. Don't do that. Okay, don't. So anyway, that experience taught me obedience. So now when God says something, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I will be walking down the street, and he'll be go left, and I'm walking home, like a route that I already planned to go. So he'll be like, go left, and I just turn. Whatever. You say go left, you say go right, then you say go left again. I'm doing it, because if you say it, you see everything, and I am not smarter. So obedience. So my spoken word, it is really helping me work through a lot of my issues, and it's an art. And like, when I have the feeling and the passion, like I write something instead of putting it off like I did. And God, provided a way for me to perform spoken word, which is something I decided last fall I wanted to do after watching Rupi Kaur's I'm Taking My Body Back on TED Talks. Find it on YouTube. It's fantastic. And it really inspired me. And so she's the reason I was like, I want to do that. Like, yes. And so I've been writing spoken word, and then I decided to record one day. And it was actually on the anniversary of my rape. It's called 1018, and I'm waiting till God tells me to share that with the community. But on that day, I was going to write a poem, to get my feelings out, and it was just too much, and so I took an audio instead. And so that was actually the birth of like me doing spoken word. When I would write these poems about social justice and just, the injustice behind systemic racism and how the Black community is treated is just so devastating every single day. It's devastating. And being woke means also being sad. I'm like so full of joy, but I always have this, I have this pang of sadness because of the suffering, and, people just not seeing what's going on makes it even harder. That got me emotional. So spoken word, I didn't even realize that I had never looked it up or anything. I hadn't really seen a lot. And it was so funny. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I looked up the definition of spoken word, and the cadence and the rhyming, that's exactly what I was doing. And I didn't even know like the structure. So it's just cool, like when you have a desire to do something, like God gifts us in different ways and he helps us. And so I didn't realize that like the poems I was recording and like writing down already were like spoken word. And I had been like insecure to call them spoken word because I didn't want to be like offensive, but it's like, F it, art is art, and we need to stop like trying to put it in these boxes of what it is and isn't, because it stifles creativity. That's also something else I've learned. I've learned so much these past few years. But anyway, so an opportunity was provided for me to speak, so I needed to be obedient. Like I say, Lord, use me. So if you give me an opportunity to be used where I can share my spoken word and I can draw more people to my social justice blog, which has a goal of humanizing the Black community so everyone can see we're all the same and, stop killing us. And people like take notice that we're being killed and don't act like we're making it up, That's the bottom line. Honesty, speaking the truth in love. That's my thing now, being unapologetic, because life is too short, and every conversation you have with someone, I want it to be meaningful. And so I want to just speak to you in depth immediately, in a way that's comfortable for you. I'm just going to be like, hey, guess what? And like tell something super deep. I mean, and not the initial thing you say, but when you open yourself up to just talking to people, like the spirit moves you and God guides the conversation. And like, man, like I've been having these just beautiful conversations that, encourages me and gives me faith in humanity, as well as like we're both educating each other, and it's beautiful. So if God was giving me this opportunity to draw more people to the blog to like hear what I just told you, like take it. And it's something I asked for, so do it. And don't procrastinate, which is something I struggle with. So anyway, open mic was great. I was on the list. It was picked random. It was such a chill vibe, and I really wanted to like get into it, but I was still like a little like not on edge, but like focused. Like I couldn't relax as much as I wanted to, because it was like, if you've done track, you know what I mean. So like think about like being at the track meet and everyone's eating like those bomb like nacho chili cheese Fritos in the bag with the fork. Yes. Oh man. Okay, but everyone's eating all that and like you want it, but your freaking race is like the last race. And so you're just like at the track meet and like you can't like do anything fun because you're just like have to be in the zone. You're like in that mode. So anyway, that's how I felt. Like I didn't feel like I could fully relax and partake in the wonderful treats they had there. That's all I'm saying. And so anyway, and so then I was like getting a little anxious and like my old like self of like complaining because something's not going my way when I want it to. And then that turns like into like a grumbling, a bad attitude, and that's linked to not having control. So I was just like the thoughts came, but I've been really good about taking my thoughts captive and making them obedient to Christ. Yes, life verse, too good. Because, you know, the tempter, one of his titles is the doubter. Like he puts thoughts in our minds and that's why we have to filter through our thoughts and say, hey, is that me or is that someone else? And whoever it is, it's ugly and I don't like it, so let me do this. So basically I was just like inside I was like, oh my gosh, it's been like an hour and a half. Like I want to speak. Should I say something? Should I like ask them? Like just ridiculous. Like no, stop. And so I was just like, Lord, stop. I'm like, sorry, Lord, like forgive me. You're in control and it's your timing. Like when I speak, it's the timing that you wanted, you know what's best. So let me stop. So I was getting a little tired, vegan, so I wasn't able to have any food there. And so that was like another thing trying to come up. Like Satan's like, oh, but you should be cranky because you have nothing to eat. Oh, aren't you so tired? Like you should complain about that. And I was like, no. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fasting. I got water. Like I'm good. And then my name was called, and it's just like, wow, God, like you're amazing. And the timing was right, and I spoke and it was great and everyone was so welcoming, and I forgot one line, and then today, like I did such a great job and I was so proud of myself, and then Satan's just been trying to like throw that one line at me all day, like, oh, but you forgot that line, oh, you should feel bad. That line could have been the line that changed someone's mind. That was the most powerful line. Like, he is ridiculous. Like, people really need to realize how ridiculous Satan is. Like, he is insidious. So the smallest things, that's where he will try to get you, because if they're so small, oh, that wouldn't be him. He wouldn't waste his time. No, that's where he lives. The devil is in the details. Yes, that's him. Like, you're late and then you get all red lights. Hello. Like, people laugh when I say that, but it's true. It's like, it's in the smallest ways he's trying to get you. And if he can't get you in a way that he used to, he's going to try a way that he used to get you 10 years ago, something you thought you conquered. And then he's going to try another way, and then he'll come back to things. You know, that's how he works. So that's why we have to take our thoughts captive and make them obedient to Christ. So anyway, I was obedient to going to the open mic, to speaking, to not grumbling, and just giving my best. And then, you know, Satan trying to say, oh, this sentence that I forgot, you know, was so important. I'm like, no, because God knew what I was going to say. God was in control. He had me speak when I did, and the words I use, those are the words that are going to be powerful. God's going to use whatever situation happened, and he's in control. So it doesn't matter if I forgot a word. It's just as powerful. So I wanted to share that with you because I think we need to be more vulnerable with each other. That's the only way we can get better. We need each other to get better. And God, he's really helpful for that, I think. Yoga's helpful too. Okay, well, I hope you're having a beautiful Friday, and you know I disappear on the weekend, so I can do me. So I hope you have an amazing weekend, and definitely check out my blog, www.wematter.blog. Bye!
And we know that God causes all things to work together for the good of those who love God and who are called according to his purpose for them.